right, boss, what do you think?
I love it. Let's catch some fish.
All right, looks like I'm not getting fired after all.
Guys, I just got a 20-foot john boat for $500 on Marketplace. I lowballed the crap out of this old man, and he was like, I'm not using it, I'm gonna let it go. But it needs a lot of upgrades. My buddy Alex from Buffalo Bayou Fishing Champs is gonna be doing the work. I'm gonna go home and take a nap. I'm gonna be back when it's ready. Sound like a deal?
Yes, sir.
All right, guys, we'll see you soon.
Well, you heard the boss. We better get to work or we're gonna get fired. So I got these cheap tie downs. Honestly, I thought they were gonna be a lot better quality. These aren't the most secure type of straps. These will pop free. It happens quite a bit actually, especially driving around Houston. So we're gonna take this off, get rid of them, and get the new stuff. I wanted these for a really long time for my boat. I didn't know it came with its own mounting hardware, which a lot of stuff doesn't nowadays. Which is a relief. Now I'm not gonna have to go to the hardware store. Sweet. So since we have like a C-beam type of thing right here, there's really no way to mount this. Luckily, these come with these brackets. So I'm gonna eyeball where this bracket's gonna go. Let's get a hole in there. Let's get some bolts in. Nice. I mean, that's on there. You can see that the angle is a little off. The strap is going off to the left, so I'm probably gonna turn this a little bit. Okay, see that? That looks a little better. I guess you don't have to press it to release it. You can just pull it. Loop it. Maybe press it again to automatically pull it in. Oh yeah, that's cool. That's one, and that's two. All right, on to the next part. This whole thing was all just covered in ratchet straps from every decade they've ever existed, and this is just a big nest of straps back and forth. This transom saver that's on here is a piece of junk. It has no spring on the inside. It's not secured to the actual trailer. It's relying on pressure to just stay on that roller, which is a terrible design, by the way. And you can tell that it's not even working properly. You see how it's not even centered? It's because it's just bouncing around all the time. Like I said, this doesn't have a spring in it, so it's not absorbing any shock. Hopefully we'll never see this thing ever again. This clip right here is probably good. That's in good condition. The rest of it, gone. Here we go. The spring. And just like the other one, this comes with all the bolts and nuts and washers you could need. And it even comes with a bungee strap, which is always awesome. Here is the bracket. This is what's going to be holding the transom saver to the trailer. So this is what the entire assembly looks like. This is the part that goes attached to the trailer at the very bottom. This is the part that holds the bottom of your engine. So let's go ahead and measure this out and make sure we got the right length on there. Drill our hole for the mountain bracket on the trailer and get it installed. Alrighty. Bracket. Bolt. All the way through. And perfect. And I'm pretty sure I have locking washers in the garage that fit this perfectly. So I'm gonna put one of those in here. These have the nylon inserts, so you don't technically need one, but I'm gonna go a little overkill. Never hurts. I see a good amount of debate on this, and there shouldn't be any debate. You put the bolt in. On the back side, you put the washer. On top of the washer, the crush washer, the locking washer, these guys. That goes next, against the flat washer. And then you put the nut on top. And that's how things go. You don't put the crush washer and then the flat washer. That's what it should look like, in case you didn't know. Nice and straight, huh? Now I'm gonna tighten it for real. That's it right there. We had it maxed out, right? So it was the first notch. The bare long part where that doesn't have any holes, that's the part that goes inside the tube. And you'll know that because if you try to put it in upside down like that, you don't have any holes to lock into the bracket. So that's how you know. We're gonna put our bolt all the way through there, all the way up to the other side, just like that. Get our nut on there. Ready? All right. That's nice. Every time when you go to, when you got your boat back on the trailer, put this in its place. And I think I might have squeezed it a little bit, so it's a bit of a tight fit. Of course, once you start breaking it in, it's easier and easier. Put this pin, you put that pin all the way through, lock it, and so now, no matter how hard you bounce, that's not gonna come loose. As opposed to if it was just resting on here, bouncing around, that's gonna come off. That's not going nowhere. But look at the spring right here. When I put it back in position and lower the engine down, it starts squeezing. Now you don't want to squeeze it all the way down, because if you do, if you compress this all the way, this isn't gonna absorb any more shock. You'll see that spring is now absorbing all that bounce and all that shock. But that's it. That's the proper way to use a transom saver. You can't forget about the bungee. You see these little holes right here? You put the hook in through there. It's a tight fit. It's a really tight fit actually. But that way you know it's not going anywhere. And you hook it in from this side. Of course, the more and more you do that, the easier it's gonna get. That's a little too loose. I don't like how loose that is. So I'll probably route this around a different side. Let's see. All right, well, there you go. That's tight. That's tight enough where that's not coming out. If that motor does bounce up, it's gonna stay attached to this right there. So we got one more thing to do before this boat is almost completely done and ready to go. This is a pretty big boat. There's no stop here, as you can see. That's because the stop that was here basically crumbled by the time it got here. And it's a miracle that this boat stayed on this trailer. You got a winch from the early 1700s, and it looks like the rope from a birthday party piñata or something like that. That's what was. Piece of junk is loose and it doesn't even lock. There it goes. That's it. And I did take like 10 ratchet straps off of the front, to be fair. So it had some security, no safety chain, but a ton of ratchet straps. If anybody wants this is gonna be on my sidewalk in front of my house. Oh man. Wow, look at this thing. Woo! Oh, I'm excited about this. The holes line up perfectly on the bottom. This base, it'll fit a lot of different spacings on your trailer for extra holes, for extra support. I'm sure the instructions will tell me to mount this with one up here and one on each corner. But since this trailer isn't that wide, I think this is wider than the actual tongue, I'm gonna use the middle one just because that's how it's already drilled up on the boat and it fits perfectly fine. So this would probably fit whatever configuration you have on your trailer already, which is a good thing. That means you won't have to be drilling through a trailer. 2 bolts, 2 washers, 2 nuts. Okay, put the bolt through there, put another one on the front. Now we just line it up. That's pretty easy. So since this is a bigger winch, I'm expecting that the handle is gonna need quite a bit of clearance. It's gonna take up a lot of real estate here. And we don't want it too far back close to this thing. Oh, and this switch also needs to be clear. So we're gonna hold it up as far forward as possible while we bolt it on. I'm sorry with this one because it's a little, it's the easiest one to reach. This one is like, the other one is completely under here, and holding everything steady and trying to get it going might be a little tough. Okay. Something you got to remember is that when you got a new strap on a winch, it's not super tightly woven. It's got loose pockets in it. You can have this tightened all the way down, but if you really give it some stress, it's gonna start compressing inside the spool. So it's gonna take you a couple of times. After like 3 trips, shouldn't do it anymore. Take this guy off. All right. Make sure this little plate is all the way to the back. Put the handle in there. Of course, the nut. Now we can't start cranking down on this thing because we don't have a stop on the front of the boat. So I've had this 3-piece roller sitting around for a long time, just waiting for the right boat to come around. And this fits this one perfectly. You hold the center part in here, you get the bolt with one of the ends. You get the other end, you pop it on that side. Washer. And a nut with a nylon insert, just like that. And this all came together. Okay, so when it comes to these, you don't want to crank these down all the way to where they're completely tight, because you do want them to roll as the boat comes in and out. That's quite a bit looser. Here you can see that strap tightening down against itself. You see the handle and the whole spool and everything is turning, but it's not actually getting tighter, and that's good. That's what we want. We need that strap to lose all the slack that it's got inside. All right, that feels pretty good. So let's go for a drive. Let's test it out and let's see how it goes. That didn't come loose at all. Let's check the ratchet straps at the back. Still as tight as they were before. I think the boss is going to be very happy, and I'm going to be very happy. If you want to check out some of that equipment for yourself, go to betterboat.com. If you're going to be on a boat, and you're going to be using that boat more than once a year, you need real dock lines with loops on one end to make docking and tying up easier. These are lifesavers, honestly. The more ropes you have readily available on the boat, the easier your life is going to be. No more of this random dog leash rope on your boat. Get some real dock lines from betterboat.com, and you'll thank yourself, and you'll thank Betterboat, and you'll thank me. Well, that does it for this video, champs. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned because we got some more stuff coming. I'll see y'all in the next one. Well, I didn't get away that easy. I wanted to have this thing ready to go as soon as the boss picks it up, and I can't get the dang thing to turn on. This is a new gas tank. However, these are the original fuel lines, and they suck. I've just been putting off replacing them because I've gotten them to work. This primer bulb really sucks. Like it's just so. I don't think it's sucking anything right now. So we're gonna go to the hardware store, get some fuel lines.
Now I'm not gonna have to go to the hardware store.
When you're replacing fuel lines in your boat, you're gonna go to like an outdoor shop or something. You're gonna find those short fuel lines that have that primer bulb in the middle of them, and they're gonna be gray, right? Those fuel lines are gonna be gray. Those gray lines have a liner on the inside, but it breaks down a lot, very often, and it doesn't take much. What ends up happening, that liner kind of just like shrivels inside the actual hose, and then it blocks all the fuel from getting through. So don't buy that. Just go to a hardware store and get some fuel line. Just make sure it's the right diameter on the outside and the right diameter on the inside. So next time you're changing out fuel lines, go for the automotive stuff. It's gonna work perfectly fine. Back from the hardware store, it's time to start taking off all these old fuel hoses. Well, that hose just snapped right off. And I'm having issues with this connection right here. Seems like every time I plug it in and I try priming fuel into the system, it starts leaking. And it's brand new, it shouldn't leak. We take a look when they're plugged in. It's a lot of space in there. Here I have an old tank from an old Evinrude. It's the same type of fitting. They are a little different. I'm gonna see if it makes any difference. This one's brass, so that's that. There's that. I like that better. That feels way more secure. There's a gap there still, but this doesn't move. If you look at these side by side, you can tell that the one that actually has a J and an E on it, John's an Evinrude. The prongs are longer. The actual intake is longer, and the locking pin is also longer. So we're gonna go ahead and put this guy on the gas tank. All right, got some fresh Teflon on there. Didn't get it anywhere near the entrance. So now the connections at the fuel tank are fine, and now we have a leak at the connection of the engine. So let's figure that out. Alright, so I worked on this throughout the night, and I kind of found some stuff that was causing issues. Originally, this is where you plug in the fuel line. That's a regular old male connector, and this is where it was leaking from. And there's nothing I could do to keep this from leaking. And that part costs $80 to replace this whole little piece. So I'm not gonna do that. But this type of engine also had a input for oil. Those valves, those fittings were still there, and they were nice long metal valves. So I just used those instead. Now we don't have a quick disconnect, which can, you know, it's a double-edged sword right there. You can't unplug it real quick. It's basically permanently mounted, but there is no link for it to leak. So that's basically a solid hose now. And I also replaced the hose that came out from the fuel pump, and that's what ends up coming out right there. It was just kind of old and cruddy. It was blue on the inside, so that's not good. Once I did that, turning it on was a breeze. I think that's where a lot of our issues are coming from. So I'm gonna hop in there and try turning the boat on, and this should replicate just driving to the marina and cold starting the engine. All right, here we go. Try number one. That's not bad. I kind of kept forgetting that the ignition switch, where you actually put the key, is how you prime the engine. Yeah, you can prime the bulb to get the fuel flowing through the line, but you got to push the key in for that little motor in the engine to shoot extra fuel into the carburetors, and that's what I was forgetting to do right now, and that's why I was kicking on and then stopping, kicking on and stopping, because there wasn't enough fuel in there to get it started. But now that I started, it would choke and let it come down. It should start just fine. This is no choke, no priming. I'd say that's pretty good. So let's load this baby up. Let's head to the river. Let's do a little test drive. Maybe do a little fishing while we're at it. All right, Chan, so we just made it to the marina. Everything is still nice and solid. I followed behind the whole time, and I could see the spring activating and keeping everything nice and smooth. And the winch is nice and tight. Didn't come loose at all. So let's get this boat in the water. Let's get her on, and let's go fishing. Engine turned on with no issue. I think we're in business. We're just letting her get warmed up because it is cold out here, but it's looking good. Let's go fishing, chat. All right, boss, what do you think?
I love it. Let's catch some fish.
All right, looks like I'm not getting fired after all. Not bad, eh?
Not bad, we got a double on.
Nice. So it looks like the boss is happy. That boat performed real good, and we got some fishing done. Well done, gentlemen. Let's get at it.